Hi, everyone. Welcome back to The Moment. It is your co-host, Meredith Lynch. I'm joined, as always, by my partner in crime, the one and only Rebecca Senanez. We also have a very special guest here today. So excited to have her join us. I would call her friend of the show, friend in real life.
A friend of the show, like before the show was the show, even.
Yeah.
Sorry. I just want to throw it out there. Sarah's been a long time.
Sara Schaefer is a writer. She's a comedian. She's an artist. She lives in Richmond, Virginia, which is very topical for today. She's appeared on Netflix, Comedy Central, MTV, and so much more. Her YouTube show, Crafting Through It, is a mix of crafting, comedy, and surviving the apocalypse. And she sells funny handmade crafts at craftingthroughit.biz. Sara Schaefer, welcome to The Moment. We're excited to have you here. We're going to do some hot topics. Today's going to be a little different. Sarah's kind of a demanding guest. No, I'm just kidding. This isn't about
she said we have to change the run of show if we're going to do this.
Yeah.
Right? That's Hollyweird, baby. We have Senator Mark Warner here today, and he's a busy man, as Sabrina Carpenter would say. So he's going to come in at 8:10 or 11:10. We'll do some stuff with Senator Warner, and then we're going to go back to hot topics. So we're going to do some hot topics right now. We're going to shoot the shit. There's a lot going on. But yeah, we're glad to have you here, Sarah. Welcome to The Moment.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited. So we're going to start off by making a quilt. No, just kidding. Just a quick 8-minute.
Sarah's our local Virginia correspondent. Like that's around doing the real work.
Yeah.
I have one question for you, Sarah, and that is like, do you kind of fuck with the American flag because it is a woman-made craft?
It is crafting.
I mean, Betsy Ross really set the stage for like women being part of the texture, the fabric of American society.
Ooh.
I don't even know if what I just said was accurate. I feel like Betsy Ross had something to do with the flag, but
that's right. That sounds familiar.
I think allegedly she sewed it. It was probably like, honestly,
a black woman who sewed it.
And probably.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, like if you know, they always say like if it's made by a woman, it's a craft. If it's made by a man, it's art. So that's not what I say. It's what the world says. But
I think what the world says, if it's made by man, it's actually a war.
So exactly, it's violence.
That's how the saying goes. Which we are going to talk about the Sec of War, Pete Hegseth, who is the world's biggest. His everything song in my heart and mind. I will never not hear that song when I think of him. We're going to talk about with Mark Warner. But before we get into that, Halle Berry was at the DealBook Summit this week with Andrew Ross Sorkin, and she gave a really impassioned speech about aging women, menopause. By the way, I saw her filming down the street from me maybe like 3 months ago, and I know this is absolutely the opposite point she's trying to make in the talk we're about to watch a clip of, but like she looks amazing. Like it is like, you know, like there are some people that you see in the world and you're like, we're all sketched in pencil. And then you see people and you're like, that is a person who is drawn in magic marker. Like she pops. She looks amazing. But that is the exact opposite point that she's trying to make in this clip. Let's watch this clip and then I want to talk about it because it is very political.
Illinois just became the first state to mandate coverage for HRT, which is hormone replacement therapy. But yes, that's something to, absolutely. But the opposite of that, back in my great state of California, my very own governor, Gavin Newsom, has vetoed our menopause bill, not 1, but 2 years in a row. But that's okay, because he's not going to be governor forever. And with the way he's overlooked women, half the population, by devaluing us in midlife, he probably should not be our next president either. Just saying.
Oh, shit! She came for the smoke with Gavin Newsom.
Yeah. I feel like she's Gavin Newsom needs to get that Halle Berry endorsement if he wants to move forward, because she's perfection. And
she's perfection.
Like, I don't understand why he would veto that. Like, I was shocked to hear that.
I was shocked to hear it too. I wonder, okay, this is my question for the gang this morning is, do you think she actually did something really smart there where she's going to basically pressure him? He has like, you know, a year and a half probably to like get his platform together before he's like actually running for president. Do you think that she did that to be like, hey, call me. Why aren't you calling me back? Yeah. Like, what do you think? Is she being really savvy, or did she just say like, today I choose chaos?
Well, I read the bill.
Of course she did. My partner in crime. Tell us what the bill says.
Well, here's the thing. Anytime I read one of these, I'm like, how in God's name did I even graduate from undergrad? Because like they are complicated. And I think what he's going to argue, not agreeing with it, what he's going to argue is it also had like some, I believe it had some things in it of like additional training that doctors would have to do. And I'm like not disagreeing with that, but like it's a lot more complex than just approving HRT. And so he's going to come back and he's going to go, this is a rebuttal. I'm not saying I agree with it. The rebuttal is going to be, yes, we have to do something for women and menopause and all this kind of stuff, but not this. This is a bad bill, and there's got to be a better way to do this. And so that's what he's going to say about this bill, because it isn't as simple as just like, yes, HRT. It's a little more complex, but I was like,
these, yeah.
Right? Like, go off, Halle Berry. Like, I love this clip.
Why do you think, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but why do you think menopause is having a moment?
Sarah, I want to hear your thoughts.
Well, I feel like the elder millennial, young Gen X, which is I'm right in between those two, age-wise, like we're the first generation that has like, maybe not the first, but I don't know, our presence online and sharing information and communicating with each other's experiences, like that is something that we are the first to do. And I think we're looking around going, wait, you know, nobody ever talked about this. It hasn't been focused on, like, you know, we know how to keep, you know, there's a pill that gets a dude an erection for 4 hours. We know at least 4 hours. After that, you need to call the doctor. But like, we don't know anything about menopause, you know, like, and yeah.
I watched this whole clip that she did, and she makes a really fair point where she's like, look, it changes our mood. It affects our sleep. It affects our, like, she was like, if this were affecting men, we would treat it like an epidemic. We would treat it like COVID-19. And I was like, yeah, fair point. Like men were like, I can't get an erection. We were like, get them a pill, fix it immediately. You know, like, okay.
And
I think that it's like, we just need, and it's having a moment too, because so many women who are like Halle Berry are becoming, they're going through it or have gone through it. And they're, you know, they're partnering, you know, it's a business thing too. Like, I think it's big business. They're seeing like this is a huge opportunity that has not been tapped.
It's a way to also, like, this is my cynical take. It is a way to like stay relevant while also aging. Can I I want to let you say something, Meredith, but you were about to say something, and then I want to ask a question to the room.
Well, I mean, I think it's just interesting because I also think that we're the first, like Gen X and millennials are the first generation who really talked openly about periods, and we were raised around more culture, even though I feel like there was still a lot of, I grew up very Catholic. And so like, there was still some not talking about it, but like my mother told me that like her mom never even told her what it was. Wow. So it's like, I think part of this is the sort of reclaiming of women and their bodies. And I think like, maybe this is a bigger conversation about like all of this stuff. Cause it's not like menopause doesn't exist in a bubble, right? And so like I think
we
for a
all
lot of
go through it. Like it's happening, it's coming for all of us. Yeah.
right. Well, if we're lucky, that's the other piece of it, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like my mom didn't even live to go through menopause. So like I don't even know what her menopause experience was like. And Sarah, I know your mom died when you were younger. So it's like, I don't know if you know. And so it's like, we're left to not that my mother probably would have told me about it. But we're left to kind of pick up the pieces. So I do really appreciate that.
Yeah. My mom died, like she had gone through it, and I don't know how this came about, but we basically linked in our minds that the HRT therapy that she did somehow caused the cancer, which now, now there's all this conversation about HRT and breast cancer risk. So I'm extremely focused on it.
Yes.
So it's a big thing in my life. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I now, like you're convincing me that my comment is kind of an asshole comment, but it's still my comment.
Fine.
Which is that the converse of this, that it's suddenly become such a big thing, and like perimenopause. I'm going to be 37 next month. And so I'm just starting to get into like that phase of life. And when I was younger, I had ovarian cysts, which like were just like a thing. And so now I have all of this perimenopause hypochondria. Everything that happened, every time I don't sleep well at night, every time I'm hot, every time my period is a little bit late, I'm like, is this perimenopause? Am I like running out of time? Do I need to go to the doctor? And I feel like it's like one more thing that I think it's probably because it's suddenly become a thing. I have like a I feel like hyper aware of it in a way that is like not beneficial to my life necessarily. Like it doesn't make me feel like, oh, I feel this like gentle group of people that I'm about to be in. I feel like I'm like one more thing I'm like hyper vigilant about in my life. Is that insane?
No. I mean, I think I'm like in the same boat, and I'm 47 and there's definitely stuff happening. I'm like, that ain't right.
That's not it.
Things have changed, like, but it's interesting because I'm thinking the same thing. And you know what it is? I think it's one of those things. It's like where people go, "Oh, you'll know
when you know."
Like that's
so true. You don't have to be a hypochondriac. You're gonna figure it out real quick.
You thought you were going through perimenopause. You had no idea. Like it's gonna be one of those.
It's like me in 5th grade when I always thought that I had my period, but I didn't have my period in 7th grade. I would go to the bathroom like every 10 minutes. I'd be like, I think it happened.
Wait, that's so funny. That's a really funny. I had that I think all girls had that experience.
Yes.
And then it was like 4 years later, you were like, oh, that's it.
That is definitely a period.
That's it. Yeah.
I also think though, it's like, there is Meredith Constance is in the chat and she says that was a deep cut for me. Yeah, like the running to the bathroom. But I also think this goes back to sort of this point that we were talking about before we jumped on, is that like health insurance premiums are going up. And so like I just looked at my own premium, it's doubling. And like that to me, I'm just like, okay, so even just the bare minimum of care that I'm going to need, like, how is that going to stop people from going to the doctor?
Yeah.
Well, I think what it's going to do, and then I know Sarah has questions about this locally in Virginia,
right,
to our guests, but I feel like what it's going to do more than anything is like, I mean, not more than anything, this is also a privileged place, but like push off preventative care.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, I think that's part of what's going to happen is like the people who are in active sickness, like, they're gonna, I don't know what's gonna happen. It's a fucking tragedy. But I also think the sort of like smaller tragedy is the amount of women who are not gonna get the breast exams, who are not, you know what I mean? Like there are things that I look at that I'm like, probably time to go see a dermatologist and make sure all these like little spots are just normal little spots, which I think they are. But like, I probably will put that off because like I'm a freelancer and I can't afford it. It is like the true great shame of this country. I really think that we don't have universal health care. I mean, there's a lot of things, but
I went to the dermatologist a few months ago, and do you know what I was told? I was told that I am something called patient presents significantly younger than age. And
ever since you told me this, I've been like, oh, that's the best compliment.
But like, because I'm insane, I had to look up, like, is this a real thing, right? And so, like, it was mentioned once in, like, the 1992 New England Journal of Medicine or something. So I was like, it stands. It's a thing.
It's a diagnosis. Yeah.
I also feel like that's one thing that I will say about this this menopause swing, which, you know, there's a lot of things that are great about it, but there is something for me that's really hard about seeing Halle Berry on a stage looking as phenomenal as she does, saying we shouldn't have to look 35 forever, because I'm like, babe, you look 35 and like you had a lot of plastic surgery, which is fine, which is totally 100% like, you know, whatever. But it's really hard to hear women being like, we shouldn't have to look like this forever, when it's like, you're the person that I'm looking at that makes me really afraid to age, because I don't know if I can afford to age like Halle Berry and look 35 forever. And that's a super bummer, you know? I do appreciate like Julia Louis-Dreyfus, whose face has actually aged. And I'm like, oh, I remember when you looked younger and now you don't look younger. And that's okay. And, you know, anyways, that's
yeah. Well, you know what? He's got 3 daughters. So I think that our next guest is uniquely prepared to meet with us, okay? Senator Mark Warner is a Democrat who's represented Virginia in the U.S. Senate since 2009. He currently serves as vice chairman of the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence and sits on the Finance, Banking, Budget, and Rules committees. Before Senate, he served as governor of Virginia, and he's now announced he's running for Senate re-election. Senator Warner, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you. And I got to just say, Halle Berry's got nothing on you ladies.
Oh, thank you.
You heard it here first.
You know, that's why, like, you know, enjoy Louise Dreyfus, you know, aging with grace, but you guys are not aging. And I think you all have. How about this for pure sucking up? You know, you all look much younger.
This is what a girl dad knows how to do. He knows. That it's like,
listen, as a dad with 3 daughters in their 30s.
Oh, she's one of us.
I kind of live with, yeah. And as somebody who also feels like there is no, you know, even as a guy, there is no reason you shouldn't do everything you can to try to look younger. So.
Yeah.
That's politics, baby.
Yeah, I'm not going to go into all of the grooming tips, though. But you know, so.
Well, we got questions. We have questions. Serious grooming tips.
You know, we'll get into it with you, and then we'll come around for some questions, because I have some questions for you first about Secretary Pete Hegseth. We're gonna transition real quick.
Oh, right? There's like what? This is like no foreplay at all. We're going from beauty tips.
Right,
we're going from beauty tips to Pete Hegseth. Oh my!
I'd love to give him a few, and one of them I'd just start with hydration. Hydration is so important. Okay.
Don't you also think way too much hair product too?
Yeah, he does. Listen, yeah.
Also,
a lot of gel.
The spray tans in MAGA, like, we got to put down the spray tan a little bit, like just a little. We got to take it down a notch, I think.
You don't think orange is the 2026 color of the year?
Actually, it's very close to pure white. Sorry, I had to say it.
No, Sarah, thank you. Well, let's start with Pete Hegseth, because you called this week for his resignation and for the president to remove him from let's back up. You called for his resignation because of him sharing classified information over the private Signal chat. So I'm curious to know, this happened, like, I felt like this was like a blast from the past, because I was like, this feels like it happened decades ago with the Signal chat. So I guess our question for you is, why now are we calling for his resignation?
But Meredith, it's not new. This is not breaking news. I called for his resignation back in March. I voted against this, because I knew he was going to be incompetent. The thing, I begged him, to come to Virginia, come down to Hampton Roads, Virginia Beach, Norfolk, and, talk to the sailors and their parents as the pilots are put in harm's way. And the idea that this joker was saying, oh, there's no classified information here. What baloney. And why I renewed the call was because this week the Inspector General came back and said, well, technically he could maybe have declassified that information, but it sure as hell it was classified. And by the way, his actions put troops in harm's way. You shouldn't be Secretary of Defense and be so incompetent that you're putting troops in harm's way. So I called again. I also called for his resignation during the summer when he started firing military leaders for political reasons. I thought he was incompetent when he did, he had the show and tell lecture when he brought all the military leadership to Quantico in Virginia. And, can you imagine Pete Hegseth in his jail teaching people how to fight? And then we got the new thing that's happened this weekend, and I'm sure we'll get to in a minute, about the Caribbean boat strikes. This guy is so far beyond his capabilities that it really is dangerous.
Well, that's the question, I guess. Do you believe that he has committed war crimes in the Caribbean?
There is nothing, and on this one, I got to be, just dead on serious. There is nothing that is a more damning and more, if we reach that conclusion, because it is, whether it's Hegseth or whether the admiral who ordered the strike. I particularly, in terms of the admiral, want to get all the information first, because, you make that claim that an American military committed war crimes, and you can't take that back. So I'm, and if the implications of that, not only in terms of how we view our military, but how the world views our military, is really, is so critically important. So, the video I saw yesterday when Admiral Bradley and the chairman of the Joint Chiefs came, the American people need to see it. It will be, to say it's disturbing is an understatement. And there are all kinds of legal arguments, were these still combatants? Were they shipwrecked sailors? You see the video and you're going to gasp. And so I want to make sure I get all the facts. There's a series of other documents and how the order was put forward. But because this is so far beyond just, another Trump administration screw up. This is, this will have long-term ramifications. I mean, there was, before any of you guys were born, there was a guy named Lieutenant Halle who literally got convicted of committing war crimes in Vietnam, and that had a hangover for years to our American military. But the fact that we're even having this conversation, the fact that our military could potentially be in legal liability, it just is one more block in the argument that this guy shouldn't be in charge and directing policy.
Yeah, I guess my question is, if Pete does resign or is fired or whatever, what is the devil? Who is the devil we don't know? Who do you think Trump will bring in?
Yeah, well, listen, it would be hard to imagine a worse option
than the Fox News weekend co-host.
And let me be clear, I also think the same. I've called Tulsi Gabbard, who's the director of national intelligence, who's been firing people left and right just because, the intelligence community wouldn't corrupt their product and, come to a conclusion that the president wants. I've called for her firing repeatedly. I've called, I think you may have seen when I took on your friend Bobby Kennedy when he was so ignorant that he didn't know how many people died from COVID. So there is a rogues gallery of people that should not be in their positions.
Yeah.
Can we move to talk about AI a little bit? Because you were on CNBC this week. You said that joblessness, or you fear that joblessness between 20 and 30-year-olds will rise to 25% during the next 5 years. First, can you tell us where those projections come from? And then I want to talk a little bit about what you're doing about it.
Yeah, well, I've been a tech guy before I got in politics. I mean, back in the 80s, I was doing cell phones when everybody else was talking about landlines. And I remember telling my law school classmates, hey, you got to get in with me on this. This is going to be big. They all said, Warner, you're crazy. Get a real job. They're still practicing law. I created a company called Nextel, became a venture capital guy. So I am generally pro-tech. But I think sometimes we got so caught up in the kind of upside of tech that we didn't see the underbelly.
Yeah.
And classic case there was social media.
Mhm.
We were kind of asleep at the switch for years. And if we put some guardrails in place, we'd have a hell of a lot healthier young people in America today. And I had a bunch of bills, and we didn't get anything passed. It was a complete zero. Artificial intelligence makes social media, makes wireless look small in comparison. And it end up in the whole notion of AGI and super intelligence. It's coming, and there will be upsides on this. And I even believe that AI will create additional jobs, but there's going to be a gap here.
Yeah.
And so what we've seen is, there are some jobs that tech companies are cutting right away, banks are cutting, but the place where I'm focusing is, what about those jobs that never get created in the first place? As you look at these big hirers of folks coming out of college, almost all of the companies are starting to cut their first year hires in half, and they plan to cut them in half again next year. And this, where this bears down is we got 9% recent college graduate unemployment. Not just my mind, but there's people, I'm more on the moderately conservative side. The idea that in the next 3 to 4 years, that could go to 25%. Man, that would be an economic tsunami, because it's not only the people coming out of college, but think about all the parents who are going to be pissed off as well, that they went $200,000 in debt to get their kid through college. So my sense here is we need to get the AI tech bros, and they're mostly bros, to kind of, say, okay, guys, you will say government will screw it up if we try to put some, program in place. I'll accept that. So you help figure it out.
You do it. Yeah.
And you actually help pay for it too.
Yeah.
And so far, again, don't believe me until I get get it in writing from all of them. But I think the more rational ones recognize that we could have this enormous blowback from populism on the left, populism on the right. I don't think we should be afraid of technology. We just got to make sure that we keep humans in charge, and we got to make sure that we don't so screw up and spread further economic disparity that, you got this small group of people at the top, and then you got folks maybe building the data centers, and where does all the rest of us fit in? And, and it kind of also goes just very quickly to the point that, I'm a Democrat. I want the Democrats to be the future-focused party. I think for a lot of young people that say, well, Democrats, you guys seem like the party of status quo. That's not why I became a Democrat. So we got to, kick ass a little bit and, yes, focus on affordability, healthcare. We got to make sure as well that these AI data centers don't drive up everybody's consumer costs, electricity costs. I'm a big believer that we got to take a fresh look at nuclear, called small modular reactors. And, the holy grail has always been fusion energy. So we got to be, I think, forward leaning, but also with that kind of basic sense of fairness that, frankly, the Republicans have totally given up on that.
We're going to talk about the future of the Democratic Party in your upcoming race, but very quickly, you're working with Josh Hawley, Republican Josh Hawley, on this. So on a bill specifically to require data collection on AI job displacement. I want to know, one, what makes this a right-left issue? And two, I can only picture Josh Hawley, fist in the air, January 6th, this is who this guy is. And I want to know what it's like having to deal with bipartisan, how do you reconcile these things as you work on these bills?
Well, part of the way I reconcile them is in a Republican created Senate, I can just scream and shout, but if I still want to get shit done, you got to be bipartisan. And, there's a whole lot of stuff I disagree with Josh Hawley on, a whole bunch of stuff, much more than I agree with him. But the fact that he's willing to kind of say this is a problem as well. One of the things about being in the Senate, when I was a business guy, if somebody screwed you in business, you could say, well, I'm not going to do business with them anymore. In the Senate, you don't get to choose your partners. Mm-hmm. There are 100 of us. So you can, and this is the thing that makes me crazy about, some folks on the far left and far right is, they yell and scream and, trash the other side. But you ever look at if they ever got anything done? Have they actually ever improved people's lives? And, and we need people to, raise the alarm. But I think, you got to get judged by whether you get stuff done. And, I'm proud of whether it's, the infrastructure bill, broadband for homes, bringing back semiconductor chips manufacturing, trying to make sure we never have another January 6th electoral count. And in addition, all the things that are around traditional issues like protecting women's healthcare rights, trying to ensure we have better healthcare. But so I think you got to do both. You got to fight, but you also got to, at the end of the day, get measured by what you get done. As that's the one thing I do think I bring as a business perspective is end of the year, when I ran businesses, they'd say, all right, did you make money or not? You couldn't just say, well, you know what? I really trashed my competition. I didn't put out a good product. Hey, let's not trash my competition. If I didn't put out a good product, I wouldn't be in business. But it's really hard right now. I mean, this recent thing around the government shutdown, I make the comment, I work in the only place in America being a gang member is a good thing, because whenever there's a bipartisan group, it's called the gang of this and gang of that. I got gang tats up and down my sleeves, but I didn't even join this recent gang because I thought, I don't think enough Republicans are going to actually be willing to push back against Trump. Mm-hmm. So we got to both lay out a better agenda. We got to push back, and we got to keep trying to see if any of these folks will ever get serious about really getting stuff done, as opposed to just being lemmings under Trumpism. Because I don't even think I would call it Republican. I would call it Trumpism, not Republican.
Yeah. I want to kick it to Sara, because Sara is a Virginia voter.
Midlothian, right?
Yeah.
Midlothian?
Yeah.
And has thoughts about
me. I think the thing that's on the top of, a lot of Virginians' minds, this one specifically, but a lot of us, is the healthcare costs. My premium is $500 now, and in a month it'll be $1,700 a month. So my question is, can I borrow $15,000? I'll give you my Venmo.
Are you asking all politicians that, or just the rich ones?
Everyone. No, I mean, but is there a chance? Why? How are we? I'm just doing my thing. I'm going along life, and then I find out that suddenly, I'm going to have to pay so much more, and everyone is, but especially people who are getting that subsidy, it's even worse. It's 3 times, triple.
And Sara, the thing, yes, we don't fix this, you're screwed. But the thing that we've not made, I think, enough of the case, and it's, it started when they were whacking Medicaid, and the Medicaid cuts don't come until next year. And people say, well, Medicaid's just poor people. It doesn't really affect me that much. Now we're hitting people, small business owners like you. All right, the subsidies are going away. Well, that will whack another group, up to 24 million Americans, off of healthcare, hundreds of thousands of Virginians. And God forbid you don't get coverage. And you go and say, okay, I can't do this. I'm going to try to grit it out. You get sick and you end up in the emergency room. You can't pay your bill. That gets called uncompensated care. So what does that happen? It just means it pushes the cost back on everybody who's got health insurance. So this is crazy, not only for you, it's going to be much more devastating for you in the short term, but for the whole system's going to, frankly, drive up everybody's costs. Yeah. So a couple things. One, and this is the part that just frustrates the hell out of me. We've been saying this since the summer. These cuts are coming, and the Republicans keep burying their head. So we'll put up a bill for an extension next week. Yeah, it's not going to pass because there's no realistic effort. You even saw Trump, who for a day said, "Oh, maybe we ought to do a 2-year extension and figure out how to fix the system." Have at it, but he backed off that right away. So there will be a clear contrast. That doesn't, frankly, help you come January, though. Yeah. And we got to sort through it. It also means, and this is, 8 or 10 years ago, I didn't fully have this position. I still thought we could cobble together something, with our private markets. But we got to get universal health care in this country. And, and the thing is, again, I say that. Period. I say that. Let me, that, and I'm looking at what actually works. So I'm looking at the Australia system, the Germany system, and I don't have the full answer yet. But the reason that's driving me to this position is the crisis you're going to confront what's going to happen next year, and we're going to see half a dozen rural hospitals in Virginia close. You already, if you're a woman in Southside Virginia or Southwest Virginia, you got to drive hours to get OBGYN services. You got hours and hours. Mm-hmm. So if we could get to universal health care, then we could actually spend all our time focusing on how do you actually drive down costs? How do you use artificial intelligence with my Oura Ring on personalized medicine to drive down costs? How do we make more accountability for drug prices? How do we actually, everybody promises all this technology advancement in healthcare, but it never lowers net costs. Mm-hmm. Because all the time we spend arguing, the politicians argue, well, we should cover this group, not cover that group. Let's skip the coverage argument and start with basic healthcare, and then spend all our energy on driving down costs, because we expand coverage a little bit. And as we expand coverage, because there's so much gaming of the system, I don't know if you guys have heard of this thing called PBMs, pharmacy benefit managers. Mm-hmm. This is like, maybe at some point in the 90s, this made sense. But holy crap, you couldn't create a more corrupt, obscure, obtuse system, because the drug price is this, then you get a rebate, and then it goes this way and that way. Or you go to a hospital, you get a bill. Nobody pays that bill cost. I mean, there is, healthcare has got the least truth in advertising of anything around, and it's just weighing down the system. And we spend so much more money in this country, and for the most part, we don't have better healthcare outcomes. So let's get to universal. It still doesn't, it still doesn't answer the question of where you're going to find that next 15 grand, though. And that is the issue that I'd like to give you more hope. There is some, and here's like, again, there's a little bit of hope, but I wouldn't, don't go spend a bunch of money on holiday presents, assuming this is going to get fixed. A bunch of the Republicans will say, well, we can still fix it before the end of January. Well, nothing's going to freaking change between now and the end of January, other than the fact that you and 999,000 other Americans are going to be screwed. And then the idea that we're going to fix it in January after people have already bought or not bought, it's just, back to a business standpoint, it's stupid, wasted time and dollars to come back and try to retroactively fix something. But, understand it. Well, just one last thing. I'm sorry. We
come ahead. Yeah.
I know I want to stop. Let's go back to beauty tips. But we could extend it for a year and then say, okay, or a couple years, and then say, if there's crookedness in some of the insurance market about who's getting these rebates or not, fine. But don't put people in this, untenable position that you and a whole lot of other Virginians and Americans are going to go through.
Yeah, I don't know anybody who's gaming the system. I know a lot of people like me and Sarah and Meredith who are freelancers, who are working our butts off to make good lives, who are like, hey, I can't afford to figure out whether or not this mole is cancerous or not.
One thing, can I just add on that? Just as another thing that I've been pushing for a while with, again, not great results, and this is where I've kind of even, I'm a big supporter of, organized labor, but I've had a difference with them on at least one issue. I think a lot of people think we're going to go back to the 20th century where people work for the same job for 40 years and they work 9 to 5. That is not coming back. No. People are going to put together gigs. They're going to put together independent business. They're going to be a contractor. They may do, kind of online work. And, the biggest thing we need, in addition to healthcare, is we got to make sure that every dollar you earn, some benefits are attached to that.
Yeah.
Not just healthcare, but there ought to be a retirement piece. There ought to be a disability piece. Mm-hmm. And that there ought to be is that as you move from one gig to another, or you shut down one business and start another, those benefits can transfer with you. We need a whole new social contract. The social contract that we put together in the 1930s and 40s was like, okay, we're going to make this deal during World War II and say, we're not going to give you a raise, but we're going to have your businesses give you healthcare, which locks people in.
Yes.
That model is not working.
Yeah. That's the thing is like with all of it, sorry to like, but like if we're going to lose 25% of jobs to AI, those young college kids, they don't even have the opportunity to get healthcare. Like it's such a full circle. I know we're running out of time, but I know Sarah.
This is much more fun than what I have to do next. So like, just take me.
Well, our last question is, what's going on with raccoons in your state, man? I'm gonna I said this the other day. My friend of 40 plus years, Tim Kaine, my fellow senator, and he was my lieutenant governor. We met each other at law school, not in the library. I'm going to reveal a classified piece of information to you. Tim Kaine was with that raccoon, and if you see the picture, I think they've got him in a protective services program right now. But if you hand out from that photo of the raccoon on the liquor store floor, oh my God, my buddy Tim Kaine, he's kind of an outdoors guy. He's hiked all of Virginia, he's biked all of Virginia and stuff. But you get out there like a nature lover that much, and you start hanging out with raccoons, wild shit happens. Is that why he ended the government shutdown?
I cannot. Those are all classified pieces.
Those are classified. You can only.
We'll have to have you back.
I was the chair. Now I'm the vice chair of the Intelligence Committee. I know a lot. I also know all the stuff.
We won't
UFOs,
push.
UAPs. So, but I will reveal the fact that Tim Kaine was with that raccoon.
Good to know. Senator Warner, we hope you'll come back and hang out with us and tell us so much more. Thank you so much for being with us. We everyone go follow Senator Warner. We'll link to
running for
his
re-election
accounts
in Virginia.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
To the Halle Berry aspires to be like you guys.
We got to get her on the show. We got to get her.
Do not. That's not my first rodeo, so a little bit of.
You let your daughters know. You
passed the test.
They've done training you.
Deal.
Thank you, Senator Warner.
Bye,
Take
Senator.
Care.
Thank you.
Got my eye on you, bud.
All right.
Wow.
Our correspondent Sara Schaefer with keeping it to account.
I've never met a senator before. I got nervous, but
You did great.
just not nervous. Like, you're just a guy.
Yeah.
You're a politician, but I don't want to say something that's impactful, get him, but then I was like,
Yeah. Totally.
You asked him for his Venmo, and it was chef's kiss. So
And
you
almost got him.
if he needs somebody to stump for him, I should get a notification in 5 minutes.
Absolutely.
No, but I did want to say, I wanted to say, we ran out of time, but I think a lot of young people, what I kept thinking was, the kind of him talking about the far left not getting anything done and shouting. And, I just think that's an oversimplification, but I noticed that in that conversation, he said he was on board with universal healthcare, which is an idea that the far left has been pushing. And so we're there, I don't know if I'm far left, but I'm definitely more left than him.
Sure.
It's about listening to the ideas, and it's not shouting. It's a conversation. We don't have to shout if you give us a platform to speak and to be heard. And those ideas end up infusing into the people that have the power, like him, to vote and to push an idea and to make it mainstream. So anyway, I just wanted to say that.
No, that's really well said. That's really well said.
Yeah.
It's like what the far left does right and does well is they're impassioned about really good ideas. And then it's like, okay, now we have to go pull that down the line. It's like, what are we doing?
It's hard to achieve that kind of stuff. But eventually, especially young people who look at things through a much more simplistic, I won't say simplistic, but idealistic, lens, and have hope for the future. It's like everyone talks about getting that younger vote. And I think sometimes it's speaking and letting them be heard, and, letting their ideas bubble up is what, moves us forward and does get things done.
And I really agree with this. I had every intention of working for like a classic legacy corporation media company. And like, I did everything, like I did everything right. I like got the education and I met the right people and I was in the right place. And like, there was no long-term space for me there. There wasn't. Like, it is both like deeply unstable and more stable to be a freelancer right now. If you've like, by whatever mistake you've made, become a media person. And then you're stuck in this like healthcare shit zone. I don't know how else to put it, but it's like everybody is in there. It's like people aren't opting out of the corporate system because they're like petulant children. They're opting out of the corporate system because it's failing. Whew.
Yeah.
Boy. Well, am I having a hot flash? Oh my God.
No.
I think something that he said, and Rebecca, this is actually like kind of to your point of like, you know, you had this one plan, this was the idea, right? But he's changed his mind on something. And one of the things that I see happen a lot is like, you know, we'll get to the point of take 2020, you know, I'm a big fan of talking about 2026, but let's get to 2028 for a second. I feel like there's going to be a lot of people sitting down on stage and having conversations, and they're going to go, well, 20 years ago, you know, you thought this, like, blah, blah, blah. And in that conversation with him, I was like, oh, he's really changed his mind. He didn't believe in universal healthcare. Now he does. And so I think that's also something for young people to be like, hey, like, take people along on this journey. And you don't know where, like, he's landed in a very different stance than he probably thought he would 20 years ago. And I think that's really important to remember. So yeah, I mean, y'all, this has been, I thought we were going to have time for hot topics at the end, but I think we're going to jump into what's having a moment for us because we're hitting time.
We're hitting time, babe. Well, you start with your moment.
Great. I did bring a visual for my moment. So, you know, every week every recording, we ask each other what's having a moment for us. And I don't want to make anybody jealous. And I've already sort of soft launched this on social media, but what's having a moment for me right now is my 1996 logic game, Rush Hour. Sarah, do you remember this game?
I'm having like a deep memory being like, what? Wait, hold it up. Like, take what?
So
I remember this. You have to like move
this.
This feels like very Sarah coded. So basically you set up a little puzzle and you have to get the red car out of the traffic jam. And so first of all, and I think this like kind of goes to Sarah, I think one of the things that like people are like, we spend too much time on our phones. I'm like, okay, so you have to look for alternatives, whether that's like crafting or whatever. And so like I think doing tactile things is so important. Yeah. So I've been doing my little game at night. And it's so much fun. And I bought it on eBay for like $16. And I just want to say, I know a lot of people I didn't finish last night, so I'm still kind of doing it. But I know a lot of people are jealous of me. But this could also be yours for $16. You know what? Actually, you know what? I will give one subscriber to the moment that leaves a comment about why they deserve this game. I will buy it for you on eBay for $16.
Whoa! A giveaway? Are you the Oprah of the moment?
Everybody look under their seats.
But you got to leave a comment about why you need this 1996 Rush Hour game. All right, that's my moment. Sarah, what's having a moment for you this week?
I am drowning in work, but I am making and selling kits. Speaking of doing things with your hands, these little craft kits where you get to make an old school bookshelf. This is just a prototype. It looks a little different than this, but it's basically like this. You get to put this together, and then like little books that are all like kind of funny, like titles, like that are sort of the moment, like release the Epstein files, like little books that I designed. So you make miniature books and little miniature decor that goes into the bookshelf, and little mini board games with all the pieces. I don't have any of it right around me right now, but yeah. So you can buy those and make those, and it's like handmade stuff. It's it's like there's lots of miniature kits out there, but a lot of it is mass produced and like plastic, and this is all handmade by me and using a lot of scrap and upcycled materials. So yeah.
It's like Christmassy too.
Yeah. As someone who recently had her dad ship her Victorian dollhouse across the country for $300, which, by the way, he did make me pay for because he shipped it once and it got returned because I didn't pick it up in time. So he had to ship it again, and the next time he made me pay for it, which was a fair thing. But anyway, just like really quickly, Sarah, can I ask you, like, why do you think people cling to miniatures in times like these?
Well, I think I could speak for a really long time about miniatures, but in summary, I say that miniatures are a couple things. They're delightful, they're funny, they're cute.
They're cute.
It gives you literal perspective on something.
Ooh.
And now you're in charge. You're in control now.
Yeah.
You can decorate the house.
Healthcare, but I can
afford a house.
Yeah. I love that.
I also have this little miniature file box, Mar-a-Lago file box with files inside. It's an ornament.
Mar-a-Lago? Oh my God, that's hilarious.
It's literally like the documents. Like I took pictures of the classified documents.
Oh my God.
Wait,
anyway,
so much.
That's what I like to do. I like to do little, funny sort of political / cultural miniatures that aren't just like, just a replica of Victorian, whatever. It's There's a sense of
Sarah really came for my Victorian dollhouse. Wait till she sees it set up.
When the moment starts doing merch, we need to do a collab. Yeah. Oh my God. Let's talk about this. This is a great idea.
Yes. Rebecca, what's having a moment for you this glorious Friday?
The JD Vance continues to be such a loser. He is such a loser. Text messages came out in this dump, like in their text chain. And in this text chain, JD Vance says, this chat is kind of dead. Anything going on? Like, what is that?
Wait, is he trying to be funny?
Okay, first of all, let's talk about, it's the Houthi PC small group. So it's like, you're talking about the Houthis here, like, like a rebel terrorist group, so to speak. And then JD Vance, like, I'm just imagining him, like, on his couch.
Let's look at the timestamp. Rebecca, tell us the timestamp on that, too.
No.
I didn't even notice this.
2:26 a.m.
Oh my God. So imagine Usha is sleeping next to him. She hasn't had sex with him in years. She's like, I'm so repulsed by everything about this man at this point. And he's sitting up with like the little light next to him. And he's like you can picture like his like triple chin down here texting and be like, you up? Like Tulsi Gabbard, like, what are you doing? I just like, this man is such a freaking loser. I don't think
no one responds.
That's the worst though, because that's happened to me in the group text. I'm afraid that I'm the JD Vance of every
No, you're not. I can confirm you're not. This is why I don't really do group chats, like, to be fair, for exactly this reason. Like, I don't want to be like, hey, what's everybody doing? But like, I don't know, man. There's no amount of rehabbing of this man. I really do consider myself to be a kind person. It's important to me that people like feel included and feel safe around me. And I want to give him a wedgie so badly. Like, I want to bully this man. I really, like, he is so bullyable and like everything he does. I'm like, you're asking for it. You're asking for a noogie, sweetie.
JD, I know JD is one of our #1 subscribers. And so I think JD, you know what? 2:58 a.m. You're awake. 2:28. You're awake. You don't know what to do. Dare I suggest?
Yeah.
So drop in the comments. Maybe you can be the proud owner.
You can be the proud winner of the moment's first rush hour giveaway.
You guys, this has been so much fun. Sara Schaefer, can you tell all of our friends where they can find you?
You just find me at Sara Schaefer 1 or Crafting Through It. Look me up. I'm out there. I've been around. Google me. Mark Warner, Venmo me, whatever.
Venmo her. Yeah, give him your Venmo account.
Sara Schaefer 1. It's all Sara Schaefer 1. there's lots of ways to spell Sara Schaefer, so make sure you Google me first. Don't send it to the other Sara Schaefers.
Right, Sara Schaefer.
It's right there on the screen.
Y'all, this has been so much fun. We will be back on Tuesday.
We sure will.
Our guest on Tuesday is
Aaron Parnas.
Aaron Parnas. We have breaking news. Aaron Parnas will be our guest, and we can't wait to see y'all. And Sara, I hope you will come back and hang out with us. And love to have you on my new show, Hot Minute, to talk about. I think we could talk about miniatures, and I'm going to really impress you with that Victorian doll.
Hot mini.
Exactly. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in.
Thank you.
Exactly. Y'all, this has been so great. We will wrap. Mwah. Bye. Have a great weekend, everybody.